GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's going in the outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taking Anderson! Anderson's up to
Oh my God! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled!
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go! Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my God!
God, what?
This is iRacing, the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport, virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in endorsed series from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, Aussie Supercars and more. Take on legendary circuits like Daytona, Silverstone and the Nürburgring. Join iRacing's global online racing community and get on track today at iRacing.com.
This is your chance to get behind the wheel. The opportunity to race just like the pros. From the grassroots levels, where we all got our start, to the most popular race cars on the planet. From the fairgrounds of Nashville to the high banks of Daytona, to tracks that will never be forgotten. Realistic driving, intense competition, all from the comfort of your own home. This is the ultimate motorsports simulation. This is iRacing.
Welcome one and welcome all to SimSpeed TV. It's time for round 12 of the Aussie Online Gaming Porsche Cup presented by Sam Blacklock Media. For the 12th round of this championship, we head to Oulton Park Circuit in virtual Little Budworth in Cheshire in England. A fantastic circuit, free as part of the base content on the iRacing service, and certainly a track that is rather polarizing. You either love it or hate it, but we're running the full layout here tonight in a full field of Porsche 911 GT3 Cup cars. To bring it to you all live here on SimSpeed TV is myself, Reese Gardner, and Nick Skariev alongside me in the commentary box as per usual. Nick, we always love coming to Oulton Park. Very challenging circuit, been around since the 1960s, and it's remained as challenging as it's ever been. That is unfortunately Fuji Speedway, the newest road circuit to be added to iRacing, but Oulton Park is certainly one that provides a lot of challenge to the drivers, a lot of bumps, and it's very narrow, hard to pass around here.
Yeah, absolutely, Reese. Thank you for having me. I'd have to say Oulton Park definitely lends itself to a lot of the slower classes, definitely Formula Ford and the MX-5s. You see such absolutely insane battles. Such a favourite track of mine too. It almost gives a little bit of a mini Nürburgring vibe with its all the trees and some of the bank corners as well. But yeah, trying to get a Porsche around here fast is definitely going to be a task easier said than done.
That it is. Well, we're going to check out the format here tonight. Given how hard it is to pass here, I'm sure the drivers will be flinging it up the inside because all races tonight are only 15 minutes long, or 10 laps, whichever comes first. Race 2 has a reverse top 15, and there's no compulsory pit stops here tonight, so certainly it's going to make things difficult for the drivers if they want to bring things home cleanly. Here's the championship standings meanwhile. The 06 of Bo Albert on top by 732 points over Matthew Bowler, who didn't have the best of races last time out at the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. Certainly means that the likes of Cameron Dance and Job Stewart certainly within striking distance.
Absolutely, and you'd have to say there in that 6th place there, Sam Blacklock has absolutely tumbled down that scoreboard that you see in front of us. Had quite a lot of. It really shows how much that consistency is key. That consistency is key. We've seen Cameron Dance work his way up the order race by race, has been near that pointy end, and then you've seen Sam Blacklock there go just a little bit further down. One thing to note as well, Mizomo and Tyson Broad, so we've seen those two battle it out, not only on the standings that you see there, but also out on the circuit. So those two will be definitely two to watch.
Indeed, Nicholas Garriott still on top in the AM standings, but also Dylan Shepherd is worth thinking about too. Hasn't done the whole season, but thanks to some really good results, he's elevated himself to 3rd in the Pro-Am standings. Well, we're in qualifying at the moment, and of course it is split qualifying, 2 groups, half of the Pro-Am class and the whole Am class out there at the moment, and currently the fastest lap is held by Hayden Sell, 1 minute 33.768, nearly a full second ahead of Dean Powell, who we're taking a look at in car 999 at the moment, coming down to the final corner here, and it's a very difficult exit through Deer's Leap. Got to be careful not to spin out over those curbs, and looks like Powell is taking the opportunity here to practice pit entry should he require to come into the pits. Of course, as we just mentioned, no compulsory pit stops here tonight, so unless you have heavy damage, it's probably not going to be a factor. Zach Mitchell, meanwhile, in the AM class, formerly of Drop Bear Motorsport, but now part of Excalibur Esports. It is a new team and a new livery for Zach. Let's see if it brings him some good luck here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Gee, I was just noticing so much of that. You can see so much of that suspension working on these Porsches, even though obviously being based on a production car, very, very stiff there as they kind of go around. You can just see how much it's been knocked around by those bumps, hard on the brakes there through these chicanes that we are using here. Oh, just a little bit too wide. That is probably going to invalidate his lap. Thankfully, kept it pointing pretty straight. Actually, just hearing through Daniel there at the moment. So that was, we did mention Sam Blacklock a little bit earlier. He actually did have a pretty severe hardware failure. It actually damaged a lot of componentry. So very lucky, and I'm sure he was quite fortunate there to be able to get his hand on some more gear and to be able to make it here tonight as well.
Well, actually doesn't look like he's in the server at the moment, which is a real shame for Sam. He certainly had the pace to compete at the top, but just hasn't been with him. Meanwhile, we take a look at Dan Stevens, who joined the championship last round at Barcelona, part of the Middle Finger Racing crew, who always pulls out the stops with their very dazzling liveries, making his way through the hairpin now and on his way down to the Britain's chicane. We're using both chicanes here at Oulton Park. You can cut across the curb there on entry, and this affords one passing opportunity. Also the exit. If you mess it up, then that'll give your rival a run on the straight here down to the Hislop chicane, which is very difficult. You see how close those tyre barriers are, or the tyre bundles are, to the apex of these corners, and you are not able to move those tyres. If you hit them, it's pretty much like hitting a concrete wall. So I guess if there was any deterrent to exceeding track limits, you would want something like that in the sim racing world.
Yeah, absolutely as well, and it's quite normal to see these cars go side by side, so going through those chicanes get very tricky there. On board though with Daniel Stevens' setup, which is just talking about hardware and componentry, is just so impressive there. With the triple screens, you can see that big field of view, and especially in corners like this one here in this turn one, it's just this almost blind apex, so you really need to be able to see through that corner there, coming up over the crest to the right and then down into that left-hander here. You can see how wide, it's actually really can't tell, but there's a little strip of AstroTurf there. They can open these Porsches right up, and then it's so fast through here and so narrow as well there, Reese. So I just really wish that I was out there. Yeah, Oulton Park, such a great circuit there. I couldn't imagine anyone disliking it.
Yeah, but Oulton Park does have its dislikers. It is, of course, a very bumpy track. It's a track where it can be very hard to find pace. But Daniel Stevens does seem to be finding some pace out there. 35.2, currently third place overall and leading the AM class. Down to the Britain's chicane he goes. I think he might have missed the apex at the right-hander there, but we'll see how this lap turns out for him. Put the power down through Knickerbrook Corner and up the hill towards Druids, the double apex right-hander. This is the oldest part of the circuit here. It was the perimeter road of a US Army camp during the Second World War on the site of the old Oulton Hall estate. In fact, General Patton was stationed here during the Second World War. And Stevens coming out of Deerleap now towards the start-finish line. Let's see what kind of lap he can put down this time. It is a 1 minute 35.3, and that is a 10th off his current pace. So if he manages to nail all of these apexes on this lap, he might just be able to get a good time in. Hayden Veld, meanwhile, out on circuit. Hasn't set a valid lap time yet, but we'll be waiting to see what he can do in that number 53 machine, taking a nice straight line into the Britain's chicane, and a pretty clean exit out too.
Yeah, absolutely. It's adding these extra two chicanes can, as we were kind of talking just before the broadcast, it does add in those extra overtaking opportunities as well. It almost really takes away from the flow, because with Oulton Park, without the chicanes, it's usually most of the corners are generally pretty fast, even though they are quite narrow there, but you really don't go too much down into first gear or so, but they will for these chicanes, because you really do need that maximum power out. And then this corner here, it's just so tricky always at the end. It's blind apex, and you come down the hill, it really unsettles there. You can actually see, we did see Daniel Stevens there as he was out there before there with a little bit of a slide there. Hayden Veld keeping it pointed straight, 133.9, so that has been registered up into second place there, about just over a 10th behind Sell there.
Not a bad opening lap there from Hayden Veld. Doesn't have much time to improve though, because when the session gets to about 15 minutes time, the checkered flag will come out. In fact, they've already been given the 2-minute warning by race control. So if you want to get a lap in, you have to do it now. Mitchell, a little bit offline on the way into the final corner here, Lodge corner. And now towards the start-finish line. Let's see if he can improve on that 1 minute 35.4. Unfortunately, he cannot. He remains 5th place overall. And that is third last of the drivers that have set times so far. Joshua Maynard and Isaac Edwards have already put times in, and they take up the last 2 spots so far. Veld, though, on another lap here. Let's see if he improves on the way up to Druids now. Such a difficult corner to get right. Very high speed, but double apex and very narrow through here. Have a look at that. Just missing the first curve there, but hooks it into the second one. Gets a nice late apex, bit of oversteer over the exit curve as well. Hopefully that doesn't harm him too much. Into Lodge then. Nice clean line and more oversteer on the way out. He's definitely liberal on the throttle pedal there. Can he get... Oh no, unfortunately no. That's 3/10 off his fastest time. Dean Powell to the line, and it looks like he set a 34.9, 2/10 off his fastest. So drivers not improving all that much here. Hayden Sell, sorry, also not improving. Daniel Stevens with the checkered flag now out for Quali Group 1, deciding to bring it into the pits. That was not going to be an improvement for him. Now we wait for the other part of the field, the second half of the Pro-Am class, and all of the drivers in the Pro class going to be making their way out on track very shortly. What does Zach Mitchell do here? Not going for the pits this time. 1 minute 35.7 for him. That's 3/10 off his fastest lap. So drivers struggling to improve there at the end of the session. Let's briefly review the track temp and the standings here. Sell, Veld and Pow in the Pro-Am class, top 3 spots. Dan Stevens, Zach Mitchell, Josh Maynard and Isaac Edwards taking up the rear of the field so far. The track temperature 23 degrees Celsius out there with an 18-degree air temperature. Mostly cloudy out on the circuit at the moment, so not much sunlight hitting the racetrack. Sometimes that will result in faster times, but these cars have particularly difficult rubber that doesn't have much grip when it's cold. So as the rest of the field now make their way out of the pits, we'll see if they can improve on that 33.7 that Hayden Sell has set. Here's Bo Albert, championship leader for Altus Esports, and with a new livery here tonight. Not too sure what the story behind this livery is, but it's a very big departure from the blue and gold that we usually see from the Altus crew.
Yeah, absolutely. So just mixing it up a little bit there. It's actually don't mind the pink, but it works well. It seems like the Altus crew seem to always know what looks really good and really striking, so great work to them as well. So it's as we've seen in the as we've seen all season there, it is going to be all on Bo Albert there. So hopefully we'll see a bit of a mix up there as well with our reverse grid there in our second sprint race. You can even see how much he's pulled away from the field. So possibly trying to break the toe. So not really much of a drafting track. It does have a few fast sections there, but it's not really a track where you can sit in behind, especially when you're adding those two chicanes.
Indeed. Well, Albert really kicking out the rear end on the way out of turn 1, Hall corner, and then down through Cascades into turn 3, trying his best to get online here. And you've got to be careful not to run too wide at the exit. You will get an off track if you go beyond that curb on the exit. Pushing very hard through the left-hander on the way into the hairpin. This very nice banked hairpin. You can carry a lot of speed through here, and it's one of the best passing opportunities on the track if you can get it right. Let's see what he's like coming into the Britain's chicane. All the way over the curb, just leaping over it is Bo, and he does seem quite comfortable in that car at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. You just see how the look of concentration on his face there, obviously, as a such a professional approach here to all the things that he, to all the series and stuff that Bo does do. Obviously, not only this, but as well, so strong in the rallycross circles as well there. You even see that lovely moustache that he's grown there at the moment, and beard, so it looks like he's been putting in a lot of time in the sim.
Yeah, we usually see Bo with a little bit of stubble, but he does seem to have grown his facial hair out for this round. Maybe it'll give him an extra couple of tenths, which he'll certainly need to maintain his championship lead. 1 minute 33.5 for Albert, his first time there, and that easily beats Hayden Sell's time from the first half of the session, so pretty good start there. The championship leader, Damon Woods, puts it into second, 1 minute 33.7. Robert Gibbs goes to P4, Matthew Bowler to P7 as Lachlan Capel puts him out of 6th position. Simon Mazzomo puts it into the top 10 on his first run. Reese Cohen and Cameron Dance going to 6th and 7th on their first laps. Joshua Van Treek, part of the Pro-Am class, and one of the drivers that has certainly had an adventurous season. Looks like it was a bit of an adventurous first lap as well, because that is way off the pace there. I think that he's gearing up for a second attempt there at a hot lap. But Damon Woods, Revolution Racing Team, now making his way through Britain's, and a bit off the pace there. Looks like he might be on a cool down lap at the moment. I think he'll be happy with putting it in a second so far.
Yeah, absolutely, especially with such a stacked field that we see here as well. We know Robbie Gibbs is looped it around, so he's chosen to knock it straight into the pits there. We do have Lachlan Capel there in what looks to be a Drop Bear Motorsport livery, but is part of DBM and Beyond Blue there. So great to see Lachlan there as well as Gibbs. So good little, good turnout there by the Drop Bear crew. Sebastian Flock as well, so he's coming through for another lap as well. He's just trying to get into the groove. We've still got about 10 minutes on the clock. Oulton Park, quite a short lap, so should be able to see the chance to at least get a few more in.
Capel, meanwhile, putting it into P3. That's a very good job for him, as Tyson Broad now in car 27, now part of the Drop Bear Motorsports crew, and putting himself into 8th place to start things off. Broad is a driver that we've seen plenty from in the Southern Cross Esports Championship Series that we broadcast every third Wednesday here on SimSpeed TV. You'll be able to catch him in action tomorrow night as Robbie Gibbs makes his way towards the final corner here. And Gibbs currently looking to improve on P5. We'll see if he brings it into the pits this time around. He is committing to this lap. Now, will this, looks like this is going to be a new lap started here for Gibbs. Very difficult to get the line right through turn 1. You've got to be careful of the off track on the exit there. He might have picked it up, not too sure, but he does seem to be committing to turns 2 and 3. But we'll keep an eye on him for future reference, as Reese Cohen bringing it out of the chicane for BPR. Cohen having a reasonably good first run here, putting it into 9th place so far. Will want to get into the 133s if he wants to improve. Tyson Broad on a 33.977 ahead of him, so if Reese can find a 10th, then he'll be able to gain 1 position, but he'll be hoping for a little bit more as he comes out of Lodge Corner through the Deers Leap and try to shorten the run to the line as much as possible. 1 minute 33.8 is going to be the one for Reese Cohen, and that puts him all the way up to P5. Excellent improvement there.
Oh, great little save as well. It's actually cool seeing, you can see the camera feedback there, almost shows how much like a roller coaster it is there. You come through that big dip there, it's so obvious to see even on those external cameras as well. It's such a fun circuit. It's definitely a lot of work though, so we did see that spin a little bit earlier before, so probably expecting, especially on maybe the first lap, that we're going to see a few people come unstuck. Even this turn 1 that coming through there as well, it's can very, very well unsettle the car.
A little bit of traffic potentially for Matthew Bowler as he's on his next hot lap now. And while we were talking, we saw Dylan Burse go to the top of the timesheets, 1 minute 33.0 there for Mr. Burse. Damien Woods also improving, gets back into 3rd place, puts Lachlan Capel back to P4. Matthew Bowler with a lot of concentration on his face at the moment, and potentially doing a bit of brake bias adjustment there on his way down to the next chicane. And of course he's been listening to my commentary in previous rounds, because he's got his biggest fan there on the fan, Bo Albert apparently making an appearance there. So into the Druids corner he comes, and it's looking pretty clean at the moment for Mr. Bowler. A little bit of oversteer on the exit, catches a bit of the grass, and will that be enough? Oh dear, doesn't look like he's too happy with how that's gone. We'll see if he can commit to the line here and get another time on the board. He's fallen down to 9th now, 33.9 to beat, and not able to beat it at the moment. 34.5 there as we have 6 minutes remaining in the session. Number 68 then, Dylan Burse for the Flying Flamingos on top for the time being.
Yeah, absolutely. So great to see Dylan Burse. We've seen him definitely in some of the other leagues. Such a raw talent. And just whatever he seems to put his hand to, he always seems to be well and truly up the front though. One car that we haven't seen too much of there is he knocks a cone into almost into the next suburb there, Cameron Dance, with the Orbit Motorsport crew there. So he is going to line himself up. Should easily be able to get another lap in, if not maybe another 2. Just actually cutting. Is this a replay here where he's completely possibly looking down or not where he's going there, but didn't even attempt to make that corner. But we are going to see him. He's going to come around for one more lap.
Another change at the top of the timesheets. Meanwhile, Damon Woods putting it into provisional pole. First driver into the 1 minute 32s in this session as we check out Cameron Dance now on his next hot lap. Hangs the tail out, coming out of Lodge Corner, Old Hall Corner. Getting my corner names a little mixed up there And, well, you can tell how hard he's trying. Cameron Dance, often a master of the lean there in his hyperstimulator racing cockpit. But how will he do when he comes down to the hairpin? Got to get back online for the braking zone. And manages to keep a nice stable line through the corner there. Hug it tight on the exit. It's not a huge acceleration zone up towards the Britain's chicane, but if you can nail the run, then we'll certainly net you some time. It does seem that he's quite comfortable there at the moment. We'll see how he does. Top 5 cars currently all in the pro class as Dance almost kisses the tyre bundles through the Hislop chicane. And then through Knickerbrook, got to lift off a little here to get the weight back onto the fronts and turn in. And I don't know if this is going to be an improvement for Cameron Dance. We'll have to wait and see. It does look like he's run a little bit wide there through Druids and might have a bit of an issue with the car stability there. Maybe a couple of technical issues there, as well as Simon Mazzomo now making his way up towards Britain's currently 13th place. Not the fastest Pro-Am car out there, but we'll see how he does in his battle with Tyson Broad for that Pro-Am Championship lead. Currently needs to improve by about 3-4 tenths of a second to overcome Broad in the qualifying standings right now.
Yeah, absolutely, and it is tricky to find that amount of time, especially on such a small track here. Maybe something that might have been a bit bigger and a bit more flowing though, but both himself and Cameron Dance just struggling a little bit there. Dance up in a 12th, so not forgetting he's third in the championship at the moment, so that he is actually quite a fair way down to where he would normally be though. Simon Zomo surely is going to come through there with a 134.4, so that has got him still around that 14th place here.
Yeah, 2 tenths off his fastest pace at the moment as Albert now beginning another hot lap. He was on provisional pole for some time, and oh dear, that was quite the save he had to do out of the first corner. Will he be able to get that pole position time back? He needs to get 1.5 tenths or thereabouts. Oh dear, looks like he might have to come around and start again for another hot lap, because the rear end is looking rather unstable here for the championship leader.
Yeah, absolutely. It's even just showing with... Gee, I really can't remember much of a time there where Albert hasn't been starting from pole, so it is good seeing a little bit of a mix up there, and you see it really is between those top 4 cars, 2 tenths. Still super tight there as well, and he has aborted it, so that will be it for Bo Albert. That will be his session done.
Well, looks like it is going to be a P3 at least for Bo Albert, as the 56 of Damon Woods now back on top with an excellent time there. Looks like he's abandoned that as well. It is checkered flag for the second group here in qualifying. Dylan Burst, though, still on another time here. Will he be able to beat Damon Woods? He only needs maybe 0.5 tenth to gain pole position here for round 12 of the Aussie Online Gaming Porsche Cup here at Oulton Park. Shortening the run to the line as much as possible. 32.791. That's going to do it. Dylan Burst on pole position once again in this session. And it looks like it will stick this time. As we check out a little slow-mo replay of Bo Albert's big save, and he was already on the opposite lock at the apex of the corner. He was having a lot of trouble there on his final qualifying run. He's going to have to rely on his racing ability if he wants to get another win tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Gee, you can see how much negative camber those Porsches right in the back, almost harking back there to maybe the Volkswagen Beetle Origins as well. You can just see kind of what we were talking before there. Oh, race car on super wide there. He's way off the apex, so was able to keep it on the black stuff there. We're going to see him come around. Surely this isn't going to be an improvement, but he does come and choosing to check out the pit entry as well. So always a good one to practice here at Oulton Park. does definitely come up. Even though it's not on the racing line, it does come up very fast.
Well, that's an improvement for Sebastian Flock in the dying moments of the session, all the way up to P8. That's something he'll certainly be happy with, driving with Matthew Bowler, 14 points. So here's your starting grid for the first race of the night. It's Burse and Woods on the front row. Bo Albert starts alongside Robbie Gibbs, third and fourth there. Cameron Dance and Matthew Bowler rounding out the top 6. In 7th place, it's going to be Lachlan Capel. He's got Sebastian Flock starting alongside him. Lachlan Capel taking pole position for the Pro-Am class. Hayden Sell shares the 5th row with Reese Cohen, and it's Hayden Veld and Dylan Shepherd, 11th and 12th.
On row 7 there, Tyson Broad, Simon Mazomo, Ben Johnson and Dean Powell there in row 8. Ryan Jones, we actually didn't see too much of Ryan Jones, but he was just chipping away there next to Joshua Van Treek on row 9.
In 19th, it's going to be Daniel Stevens. Zach Mitchell completes the top 20. Grant Matterford is going to start alongside Josh Maynard, with Isaac Edwards and Zach Kerr starting 23rd and 24th. And there is one more car in the session, being Daniel Yeaman in race control, and he's in the McLaren 570S GT4, which serves as the safety car in the Aussie Online Gaming series. So if there's a big enough incident out on track, the safety car will be called, and Yeaman will make his way out onto the track to neutralise the field. Now, it's not a hugely long run to turn 1 here at Oulton Park, but if you mess up the start, then you'll certainly suffer. And particularly if you're in the back half of the field, you're going to have to deal with starting uphill out of Lodge Corner, which can certainly make things difficult on this race start. But once we see the last couple of cars make their way onto the grid, we should be able to get things started. One more reminder of the format. 15-minute races tonight. Should be able to complete 10 laps if there isn't a safety car on the cards. And the timer hits 0. So it's going to be an out-and-out sprint from here on out. It's Dylan Burse versus Damon Woods on the front row. Who's going to get the best start? Will Bo Albert pull a surprise? Green flag flies, and we are racing. The initial jump from Dylan Burse wasn't great, but the second phase worked out well for him, as did for Bo Albert. Trying around the outside of Damon Woods into turn 1, and he's going to try and stick it. Oh, they make contact, and Albert just manages to recover it. That was probably something he wasn't too happy with as they make their way down to turn 1. Cameron Dance, all alongside Reese Cohen, manages to get the move done through turn 3 as there's trouble in the back. Trying their best to make their way through here. Already there has been a penalty for Dylan Shepherd. I think he has jumped the start. So Knight not getting off to a good start for Dylan Shepherd. Now through the hairpin, they manage to get into single file action as they make their way down to Britton's, who is going to mess up this chicane exit. Doesn't look like anyone from the front's having any kind of issue, but now we will see how they go coming down to Hislop. Looks like hints of a move almost being made there from the number 6 of Cameron Dance, just having a little look up the inside of Lachlan Capel. But lap 1 almost complete now, Nick, and it seems like we've had a relatively incident-free first lap. Yeah,
absolutely. It was. It seems that the jump sequence always seems to put a few people out. When Dylan Shepherd went super far to his right there as well, so I was trying to work out. I almost thought he was going to rear-end another car though, but thankfully pulled away cleanly. All we have seen, I think that is one of the drop bear cars. That might be Lachlan Capel there. Oh, sorry, Tyson Broad. These two trying to fight for that 10th position there, trying to get that invert top 10. So great little battle here, but you can just see how narrow it is. We actually are going to cut to a replay. Reese, have a look. Oh yeah, you can see definitely almost purposely pushed himself out towards the right there, not to make contact, which is a pretty wise thing to do.
Yeah, well, Shepherd, we saw in the background of shot just earlier, coming into the pits to serve that penalty. Well, this is where the battle is for 10th place. It's the top 15 that are inverted for race 2, so these guys are fighting more for a 5th place start or thereabouts. See how they do coming into Britain's. It does seem that Veld has the car underneath him, and so does Tyson Broad. So now we'll check a little bit further back and then a little bit further forward as well, because it looks like Damon Woods is starting to make some tracks here on Dylan Burst. We're right on board with Robbie Gibbs, who has a front row seat to all of this action at the front of the field, trying his best to catch up and pass the championship leader Bo Albert. Gibbs, already a race winner this season, won one of the races at Silverstone, and it looks like he's gotten a great run there out of Druids. Is he going to make the move on Bo? No, a little bit too far back to get it done into Lodge Corner, but I'll tell you what, is getting it done. Tyson Broad on Hayden Veld. They make contact and Veld goes off the circuit, loses a further place to Simon Mazzomo, and this will be significant for the championship battle in Pro-Am, because Broad now leading from Mazzomo from Veld. Not leading class on track, but still fighting for the top honours in the points.
Yeah, it's one thing to note as well there. You really don't want to lose it out. I think aside from this corner here, there, I think is corner 3 or 4. Not too much runoff as well. So if you do get tangled up with another car, it's very often you see yourself off into that tire bundle. We are kind of cut to a VRS replay here, and yeah, and just possibly Josh Maynard maybe getting away with murder there. Thankfully, actually hit that tyre bundle there square on the front though, so it looks like it hasn't damaged anything suspension-wise. Maybe it damaged the area a little bit. We are seeing live points up through the side there, so still Bo Albert there with a pretty comfortable lead. So I think probably the big one's going to see is Cameron Dance. I think might have lost. See that car number 6 under pressure there, third in the live point standings.
Yeah, Dance trying his best to hold on to 8th place at the moment, but have a look at this train that has formed here. Tyson Broad, is that Reese Cohen there trying his best to... No, it's not. Looks like Veld and Broad are having a little bit more of a scrap here as they're going 2 by 2 across the start-finish line. Broad now on the inside of Simon Mazzomo. A little bit later on the brakes into turn 1. Veld going to try around the outside there of Hayden Sell, and maybe just on the verge of getting it done through Cascades and into turn 3. A little bit offline there for Hayden Sell, and easy as you like. There goes Mr. Veld back up into P12. And this is quite the train that has formed here. These guys have brought Ryan Jones and Benjamin Johnson into this battle as well. Proper 6-car train here. Almost 7 cars now for the last position in the top 10. Here's a replay of Bo Albert. Another slow-mo replay of some stability issues for the 06, and he's actually lost 3rd place to Robert Gibbs there.
Yeah, absolutely. So not...
Whoa, okay.
What a...
is huge. Mazzomo getting sent over the tyre bundles. That was a big incident on the straight between Britons and Hislop. We only caught the action there. We weren't able to see how it started, but that resulted in a lot of damage for these cars. It was a problem for Cameron Dance. He had issues through Britons and made it back onto the racetrack, but spun and trying to get back onto the circuit as this battle came through, and that resulted in massive contact.
Yeah, it was pretty rough on the rejoin there. I'm sure that the race stewards are going to have a pretty hard look at that. So we actually do have the safety car out at the moment. Mazzomo, definitely the big loser in that. So both Cam Dance and I think Simon Mazzomo, I don't think there was a straight panel on his car there. So I can't remember if we've got the fast repairs here in the Porsche series. We do have one there. Just a producer confirming it there. So Dylan Burst almost pushing the safety car a little bit along, but so I dare say Mazzomo at least in the pits there, probably Cameron Dance as well. You can just see quite a small circuit, so we will expect most of the field to bunch up there, but we are going to cut here to a VRS replay worked out what has happened. It is a blind corner there, and
nothing Mazzomo could do there.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's just a real shame, and I mean, I understand, you know, Cameron Dance's desire to get back onto the circuit as soon as possible, but it did seem, you know, circumstances of the track, as you mentioned, Nick, it is a blind crest along that straight, so wouldn't have been much chance of seeing Cameron Dance coming back onto the circuit for those guys. And it looks like Hayden Veld has also picked up quite a bit of damage from that too.
Yeah, we did see Veld's drop bear car there as well, involved in that. So yeah, all three of them going to make it even a little bit tougher there. Just having a look at that live point standing though, so that does only leave about 18 points now between third and fourth. So that was about a 40-point loss there or something for Mazomo. So he'll be kicking himself though, but the night is still young there. We still have 2 more races to go. Anything can happen from here, Reese.
Yeah, and crucially, Mazomo, in the position he's in, is still holding on to the championship lead from Tyson Broad in the Pro-Am class. So, safety car may very well come in at the end of this lap now that the field's been neutralised and compressed. This does give a bit more of a chance for Bo Albert to get back onto the podium. Remember, he made that mistake at the final corner and let Robert Gibbs by for third. But now, certainly has a chance to fight back if he can compress himself up to the rear of that Drop Bear Motorsport 888 machine. But Dylan Burse, crucially as well, he's got an awful lot of fighting to do versus Damon Woods when they get started again. Mr. Yeaman in the McLaren safety car, just taking it nice and sedately through these chicanes, and wait for the second half of the field to come up to the end of the train here. So looks to me like fast repairs taken for Dean Powell, Benjamin Johnson, Simon Mazomo, and Cameron Dance potentially. He does have a, yes indeed, Cameron Dance did take the fast repair. He's running 23rd and last at the moment out of all the cars out on track, but he did have a much longer pit stop. So I'm wondering if he accidentally left some tyres and fuel checked. Not too sure, but we've confirmed that the safety car will be in at the end of this lap and we'll be able to get back to racing action. Yeaman already pulling away from the field, and it falls under the control of Dylan Burse through Druids. And we'll see when he decides to go. If you're under safety car at Oulton Park and you're coming up to a green flag, I would say that the best time to put the power down is at the apex of the final corner. But will Burst try to pull a surprise and go early, or will he wait until the last possible moment to get a run on the rest of the field? We've got the rest of them just catching up now, and it looks like Johnson and Mazomo, Maynard and Dance almost on the back of the train now. It looks like Burse is really backing them up. He goes as soon as they get to the grid area. Green flag flies once again. We are back to racing at Oulton Park, and it was a reasonable start from Dylan Burse. Damon Woods, though, getting a massive run on Robert Gibbs and Bo Albert, who almost bumper to bumper on the way into turn 3. And looks like, again, a nice clean start. We're hearing news of an incident between Dean Powell and the 161 of Joshua Maynard under safety car, and might be likely that Dean Powell is going to get a penalty from that. We're not too sure exactly what happened, but we'll keep our eyes on the racing here as we check out the replay here. This is the incident that we were talking about. Oh, coming up to the end of the train, they were just going too fast and had to really check up. That resulted in contact between the 161 and the 999. So, Nick, down to the Hislop chicane we go, and Dylan Burse with a reasonably comfortable lead for a safety car restart at least.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you see that grass there? Oh, I think that was Robbie Gibbs, maybe a little bit wide coming through there. Would wash off a bit of speed. One thing to really note about Oulton Park as well, if you've got a slower car out in front, it, as we have seen just even before, it really slows that train up as well because of the track and how narrow it is there. If you get stuck behind a slower car, it makes it really tricky to get past here. We've just seen car 551 there. Simon Mazomo currently in 22nd place, was off the circuit again there. It's just seen. I think that might be one of the drop air cars as well. So Johnson as well.
Yep, almost making contact with Josh Maynard as wow. Have a look at this. This is looking interesting. Tyson Broad, Lachlan Capel, and Hayden Sell, along with Reese Cohen as well, all in this fight, trading places. They're losing a lot of time to Sebastian Flock as we get news in of the penalty indeed coming in for Dean Powell for that contact under the safety car. All very late on the brakes there for Hayden Sell as he tries to make his way back past Tyson Broad. He's on the power nicely, but Broad is going to go defensive here. It's very difficult to make a move coming into the Britain's chicane. It looks like Sell's going to have to stay behind for the time being, and don't know if he'll be able to get a good run down this straight towards the next chicane. Either way, this has worked out pretty well for the 194 of Reese Cohen and the Synergy machine. Now ahead of the drop bear duo there as we check out Grant Matterford and Dylan Shepherd. Remember, Shepherd had that jump start penalty. I think the safety car has given him a bit of a lifeline here. He's still well within the field, currently down in 16th, fighting for 15th, but we'll see how far up he can make his way as Hayden Sell now is looking to get 9th place back. Remember, that's where he started, having a look up the inside of Tyson Broad.
Yeah, and also on another note there, Hayden Sell in that top 10 invert there at the moment. So currently in an attacking position there. Bit of a gap to that car behind as well. So to see that Synergy car in behind, so just needs to hold on and he will end up with a pole for our next race. So these two, Joshua Van Treek. Sorry, this was Dylan Shepherd there and Grant Matterford. Sorry, it is actually a top 15 invert. Thank you, Reese. So even these cars will be pushing as hard as they can. So Dylan Shepherd currently in that 15th place there. So he's going to end up, if he can stay there, he's going to end up with pole on our next race here at the moment. Just Albert not really being able to make too much of an impact here on this race. So I haven't really seen his little breaks in the army here that we've usually always seen very much power on the way through right at the front. Both the Altus cars there as well, usually with Sam Blacklock as well, but Dylan Burso is just showing just how much raw talent he has here tonight.
Yeah, Burse hasn't been at all rounds of the championship this season, but every time he has shown up, he's definitely shown that he has the pace to compete well for victories in the Porsche 992 Cup car, and currently leading by 0.6 of a second over Damon Woods. We did see that Dylan Shepherd made his way past Grant Matterford, and that means that Shepherd is now in 15th, and if things stay the way they are, that should give him pole position for race 2. There's the victory for Dylan Burse as the race is already over, and it was over in a flash, and they completed 9 laps there. Woods, Gibbs and Albert completing the top 4 as it's very close at the end between Stevens, Van Treek and Jones. Daniel Stevens making his way up to P12 in the midst of that, so very good stuff there. Burse, though, victory celebrations will already begin, and he'll get sent into the air for his troubles by Bo Albert, and we'll be able to briefly go through the race results here. So, Burse by 0.6 over Damon Woods. Robbie Gibbs completes the podium. Bo Albert finishing in 4th. Not the result that he'd be looking for. Matt Bowler in 5th. Sebastian Flock and Reese Cohen 6th and 7th. Lachlan Capel is going to take the Pro-Am victory. Tyson Broad in 9th overall, with Hayden Sell rounding out the top 10.
Yeah, you can just see there Tyson Broad just edging his way towards Simon Mazzomo, Haydenveld. Dan Stevens comfortably taking that the AM class win, so probably expecting potentially a promotion. We have seen Dan Stevens is a new starter here. Joshua Van Treek, Ryan Jones there, Dylan Shepherd, Grant Matterford, so we saw those two battle it out there for that 15th position. Zach Mitchell in 17th, Isaac Edwards, Ben Johnson and Josh Maynard in 20th position.
Final couple of positions then. It's going to be Dean Powell with the penalty, Cameron Dance with the incident that brought out the safety car, and Simon Mazzomo in 23rd. Zach Kerr did not take to the grid, and we expect that he won't be starting for the rest of the night. Well, we come into the second race here. And it is a top 15 invert, which means that Dylan Shepherd is going to be starting on pole position. There's your live points. Bo Albert still in the lead by some margin. Matthew Bowler just narrowing, not quite narrowing the gap, extending it just a little more. But Shepherd now versus Jones on the front row. This is going to be quite an interesting start, Nick, because, I mean, we've seen that Shepherd is looking very good. 31 points in it for the AM Championship, meanwhile, with Mazomo and Broad only separated by that 31 points with Mazomo's involvement in that big incident.
Yeah, absolutely. And such a fast turnaround as well. So not to... almost keeping everyone pretty sharp there, so there's no practice in between or anything like that. It's straight into the second race. We'll just see. It was quite disjointed off the line, though. Not too many incidents, so we just need to make sure Dylan Shepherd can drop the clutch, initiate the launch sequence at that perfect time. So about 20 seconds left on the clock till we start.
Yep, and we'll see who gets the best run off the line here. Remember, the drivers starting at the front now are drivers who are in the midfield for the race 1 start. So this is potentially, this is the best potential result here for Ryan Jones, who's had a very bad season in terms of luck. He has tended to be involved in some big crashes, not of his own doing, but the revs rise. We'll see if Jones can turn his season around here. The green flag flies. A little bit of a puff of smoke there for Jones. Not the best of starts, but Dylan Shepherd absolutely nails it. And scything his way up the inside there is Lachlan Capel to get past Hayden Sell and Reese Cohen. They were 4 wide on the way to turn 1, 2 wide on the way out. Looks like Cohen is going to try and get one back here potentially, and he will. But there's an incident for Matthew Bowler, who gets the grass and spins his teammate, his fellow driver in terms of team points, Sebastian Flock, off the circuit. So Visceral x ERT not having a good first lap there, and I think that's the understatement of the century.
Yeah, absolutely. Then just his carousel corner here at the bottom. Oh, just see, held up on the high line though. They really can't stay too wide as they come through this first section of chicane. You can just see Bo Albert there. Oh, as we just saw, I think that was Mazomo off again.
No, it's Hayden Sell who turned it around there on the exit, just put the power down a little too hard, and he's picked up some damage. Making contact with the tyre barriers as Dylan Burse going side by side with Tyson Broad on the way into Knickerbrook Corner, and manages to get it done there in the Flying Flamingos number 68.
Surely he's going to bridge that gap there. It's about a second or so there to the cars up the front though, but you'd have to say he's really getting that hammer down there. Talking about getting the hammer down, Dylan Shepherd though, comfortably out in front at the moment.
As the BPR machine of Reese Cohen tries up the inside of Hayden Veld at the final corner, and they're going to be side by side on the way into turn 1, and looks like Veld is going to have to give Cohen some room here. Oh, gets pushed off the track just a little bit though. But he does manage to maintain position on the way into turn 3. Very good little scrap this.
Yeah, absolutely. We're just seeing, as we just see Daniel Stevens. So Daniel Stevens is really, really strong there. We did see him in Barcelona just trying to get his hand here and trying to get his head around these Porsches. We have seen him just so strong in the Majors series and in many of the other leagues as well, though, but he's really starting to get a handle of that, of the Porsche that he's driving there at the moment. So you can just see out in front, though, I think that is Dylan Burse. So to be able to hang with these drivers here at the moment, he's doing an excellent job.
He is, but he just got passed by Bo Albert, Dylan Burse, Robert Gibbs. My apologies, there's an incident. Oh, big incident at Hislops, and it looks like that is Grant Matterford who has brought that one into play. Getting passed on the inside by Benjamin Johnson, got bumped off the circuit, and very unfortunate for those guys. Does seem that there's been some further troubles there for the drivers. Here's the move then. Looked like a bit of a late dive there, and Matterford bumped off, and and couldn't quite control it on the grass. Managed to collect a few cars in the midst of that. Poor Simon Mazomo coming off the worst out of all of them.
Yeah, Mazomo, it's just his night's really turning from bad to worse, so really trying to just kind of get a shred of luck here at the moment. So back out on the circuit, hopefully for him, and just getting those laps in a way. We are having another look at Daniel Stevens. Great work. I think he's, if I remember, a Kiwi living in Western Australia.
Nah,
lives in New Zealand. I must be thinking of you, Race.
Yeah. Well, I am half Kiwi, so I suppose that that does make sense. But if you're talking about Kiwis living in Australia, Sam Blacklock is a Kiwi, but living in Queensland, I believe. Unfortunately, we're not able to see him here today as we're on board with Bo Albert trying to pass Joshua Van Treek for the last position in the top 5. And looks like Albert a little bit better at hooking up those apexes than Van Treek is, but not able to find a way past. And going on his way into Druids, it's not a passing corner, that one, so he's going to have to try and nail it. We check a bit further ahead to Hayden Veld with Ryan Jones. These guys are pretty good mates in the real world and sim world, and it looks like Jones letting Veld through there. Very big dive on the brakes as they make their way past Van Treek, and is that Veld there? No, that's Reese Cohen. Reese Cohen going for a spin out of Lodge Corner. And he's lost a ton of positions out of that one, falling down the order to 15th place and could be 16th, but there's a big scrap going on just up ahead. Lachlan Capel having to let Robert Gibbs go, and looks like Burse now just behind Van Treek here. Burse has had much worse luck trying to find his way through these packs than Bo Albert has. Bo's still got Damon Woods right on his tail though. So this could be a very good fight here for what is now 4th place.
Yeah, absolutely. So Bo really starting to get a handle here of the car setup as well. So we're just seeing another car off again. Yeah, Ryan Jones. See time and time again, just these Porsches being spat off to the inside of the circuit. Not normally what we see. Usually it's out through usually to the outside of the corner, but yeah, these rear engine Porsches, very, very tricky to get the power down. We are cutting here to a VRS replay.
Yeah, well, you'll see that it happened because Jones actually understeered off the circuit and then over the grass bounced and completely lost control of car number 11. That's a real shame for Jones, who was on for a really good result. He's down in 17th now at the moment, as we've seen that Dylan Burse has made his way past Joshua Van Treek for 5th, and looks like Robert Gibbs is going to follow Burse through. Let's see how hard Van Treek fights it into turn 1. It doesn't look like he'll fight it too hard, as through goes Robbie Gibbs. Now Lachlan Capel is looking for the move, trying to get what is now 7th place of Mr. Van Treek in the Pro-Am class. These drivers are fighting for position within that class, and oh dear, looks like pulling over there is Van Treek. He might have gotten a slowdown penalty at some point, or potentially he's just letting them go because he doesn't want anything to do with what is certainly a very tight fight there in the lower reaches of the top 10. So Shepherd still leads. We've got a 10-second time penalty for Ben Johnson for that contact on lap 2 that put Grant Matterford off and caused a big incident. So race control right on that. Johnson's going to have to deal with that 10 seconds. It's not going to cost him all that much though, probably 1 position at most if the times stay as they are. Isaac Edwards 9 seconds behind us. That's a big problem for Bo Albert, losing 3rd place to Damon Woods once again there, and doing the same thing that Jones did just a lap earlier, but able to keep the car going straight. So this has been quite an interesting race so far. Awful lot going on and a lot to keep track of. But now Albert in 4th place once again. And have a look at the points for Pro-Am. There's only 2 points in it now between Simon Mazomo and Tyson Broad, the 551 and the 27 in 7th and 8th overall. And oh dear, that's trouble for, I believe that's Isaac Edwards down at the Hislop chicane. And through will go Simon Mazzomo. And you see the live points update there to 3 points between them. And, well, I think Mazzomo is going to want to forget this night at Oulton Park as quickly as possible. Bo Albert might be having a night to forget by his standards as well, because he's right in it now with Dylan Burse, who has caught right up to him. Let's see who gets it done here. Albert once again catching the grass out of the Britain's chicane. It does seem that Albert has been having a lot of trouble with car control tonight. It's uncharacteristic of him.
Yeah, potentially. Like they always chatting to the Altus lads as well. They do spend so much time on suspension, and as you can imagine, going from somewhere like Barcelona to here at Oulton Park would be completely different. So it does require everyone working together there. Gee, another car off again. I think that is possibly Ryan Jones.
It is. And it's in roughly the same spot as well. That's a big shame there for Ryan, and it looks like he did the same thing again, but this time spat into the driver's left wall out of the Britain's chicane. So a little bit more damage now for the number 11 as we move back to Albert and Burse, with Robbie Gibbs taking all of the runoff area on the exit of turn 1. Would have picked up a healthy off-track 1X for that one. Let's see what Dylan Burse can do here to pass Bo Albert for 4th. Managed to get the win in race 1, but on the back foot thanks to the invert. So we shall see. There's also been more news coming in from race control. The lap 2 accident at Hislop. Dean Powell involved in that one for contact with Simon Mazzomo. Powell's been given a license points penalty for that, so race control definitely not looking highly on that one.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're just seeing a few of those penalties come through now, but definitely seeing a few incidents that we've seen a lot of out of control cars, but potentially a lot of incidents that could be avoided as well. So I think, yeah, just Oulton Park, as we've kind of reiterated a little bit earlier on, it's just such a technical circuit when you're running it hard up on the edge. Oh, gee, wide as anything there. So that's actually given Damon Woods an excellent run up there. He's actually going to get that nose up the inside.
And into second place moves the Evolution Racing Team number 56, and Veld is right in it now with Albert and Burse as well. A 4-car train for second place, and Dylan Shepherd still leading with 4 laps to go here. And we'll see what Woods can do to try and catch him up. I'm not too sure on pace here, but it does look like Woods was able to take 2/10 out of Dylan Shepherd on that previous lap while making the pass on Hayden Veld as well. So looking quite pacey. And in terms of fastest best laps, actually looks like Shepherd is roughly in tune with a lot of the drivers here. Dylan Burse's fastest lap is a full second faster than Shepherd's fastest, which is pretty substantial. I think if there were no cars in between Burse and Shepherd, we might be seeing a very different race here at the moment, but we'll see if Shepherd can hold on for the overall win here with only 3 to go.
Yeah, absolutely. You just see, though, still maintaining that gap in behind. So thankfully far enough up the road to be able to concentrate, just hitting those braking markers, hitting those apexes there. We just see no further action there on car 12 and 97. So that was Bowler and Van Treek as well. So seeing race control there absolutely get through all these incidents, making sure and double checking there. So great turn for the team there. Oh, car 97
Van Treek. Oh dear. Looks like Matthew Bowler has picked up another incident there. I wonder if that was contact with Van Treek. We'll get a replay of it. Incident limit is 20 in this championship, so that does mean that, oh yeah, looks like Van Treek was already out of control there, but Bowler might have just gone off the track. Yeah, looks like he might have just picked up an incident point. I don't know if this was contact. Bowler, oh yeah, it was contact, and that's what's given Bowler the automatic drive-through for iRacing, and Van Treek, I think, will be none too happy with that. On the brakes for a high-speed corner and bumped straight off. So Van Treek is now down in 14th place. Bowler already in the pits, and he's served that penalty, comes back out in 18th place. But Damon Woods catching up to Dylan Shepherd now with 1.5 laps to go. The gap is now under half a second for the race lead. Now, what is going to happen here? We know how difficult it is to pass at Oulton Park. You have to rely on a mistake from your rival, really, if you want to have any chance of making a pass. You can see just how much Damon Woods has managed to gap Bo Albert behind, though. Albert's holding up Burst, Veld and Gibbs there in the battle for third place. I think it says a lot about how inconsistent Bo Albert has been tonight. Again, it's not the Bo Albert that we know. He's just been having a lot of trouble here at Oulton Park tonight. On board with Damon Woods. Final lap. White flag for these drivers. And Shepherd just holding on the way into turn 1, and they're all using the runoff area there to try and get as much pace as possible, using up those spare incident points that they have. Don't know if anyone else is at risk of getting a drive-through or a post-race time penalty for exceeding the incident limit. But now, coming into the hairpin, this is where Dylan Shepherd is going to have to really look in his mirrors, because Damon Woods might dive up the inside. Looks like he's a little bit too far back to make it work there, but he'll have to concentrate on nailing the run out of the chicanes. And on top of the drive-through penalty that Matthew Bowler's gotten, he's also gotten a post-race drive-through from race control for that contact we saw on Joshua Van Treek. Ooh, better exit for Dylan Shepherd out of the Britain's chicane. That might have given him the gap that he needs. On the brakes once again for the Hislop chicane. Very bumpy braking zone, as that's a late dive there from Dylan Burst on Bo Albert. It looks like Albert's managed to hold him off. So we'll keep our eyes here on the front. Only a couple of opportunities left here for Damon Woods to get past Dylan Shepherd. They're going to be bumper to bumper on the way into Druids, and Shepherd going defensive but diving up the inside into the corner. They're going to make contact, and Shepherd gets spun around. Oh, will he be able to hold on to second? No, he's going to fall all the way outside the top 5 there. So Bo Albert gets into second place, and Damon Woods is going to take victory here. Albert defending from Burst once again. He's going to hold on for second. So Damon Woods is your victor on the road in race 2. But I wonder how dimly race control are going to look at that contact.
Yeah, absolutely. You'd have to be kicking yourself there being Dylan Shepherd, but still not too bad, though. Managing to get those points there for the championship. We just see, I think that is a few of the other cars a little bit further back, so we'll have to see if we can cut to a replay there, Reese, and kind of work out exactly what's happened. We'll see these next sprint race, though, will be coming up pretty quick.
Well, we'll get a replay post-race, but first off, we'll go through the results here for race 2 at Oulton Park, round 12 of the Aussie Online Gaming Porsche Cup, presented by Sam Blacklock Media. Damon Woods by 1.8 seconds over Bo Albert. Dylan Burst completes the podium. Hayden Veld, 4th overall and 1st in Pro-Am, as Robbie Gibbs rounds out the top 5. Dylan Shepherd, he led all the way until the final lap. Unfortunately, spun around contact with Damon Woods at Druids. Lachlan Capel and Tyson Broad, 7th and 8th. Then it's Cameron Dance and Reese Cohen who round out the top 10.
Yeah, Cameron Dance turning his fortunes around a little bit. Sebastian Flock there, we did see with that incident there on lap 1. Saved it for 11th there, Dean Powell. Daniel Stevens again winning the Pro-Am class, so he's actually got a pretty good buffer there to Zach Mitchell in 17th, but we've got Joshua Van Treek, Hayden Sell and Ben Johnson in between. Simon Mazzomo in 18th, Matt Bowler there in 19th, and then Josh Maynard there in 20th position.
21st, Isaac Edwards, and unfortunately a retirement 4 laps from the end for Ryan Jones with those incidents out of Britain's, and Grant Matterford, your other retirement from this one, involved in the lap 2 incident down at the Hislop chicane. Well, we'll briefly cut to a replay here of the incident that put Dylan Shepherd out of contention for the win. So Damon Woods gets it up the inside. Shepherd turns in for the corner. Woods did have overlap, but I don't know if it was really enough to justify going for the move at a corner like that. Not going to take sides in this one. We'll leave it to race control, but I would say that Dylan Shepherd might feel a bit hard done by that one.
Yeah, absolutely. especially in a blink of an eye of how it all happens there. But just having a quick look at the standings there, Bo Albert, Matt Bowler there, Cameron Dance still there, almost by a thread there to Sebastian Flock, who also had a pretty rough race that one. Job Stewart, who's not here tonight there, Sam Blacklock in a similar situation. Mazzomo and Tyson Broad, so these two still separated there by 7 points. Robbie Gibbs and Nicholas Garage still leading the M Class A race.
Indeed, Garriott not present tonight, but has a healthy enough lead that he can hold on to that one, and it's now down to only 7 points between Simon Mazzomo and Tyson Broad for the Pro-Am lead. So if it's another poor run for Mazzomo in race 3, then we could see a championship lead change. Well, this is going to be a fun end to the night. We're going to go on a very short break here on SimSpeed TV. When we come back, we'll go for the final race of the night here at Oulton Park.
This is iRacing, the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport, virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in endorsed series from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, Aussie Supercars and more. Take on legendary circuits like Daytona, Silverstone and the Nürburgring. Join iRacing's global online racing community and get on track today at iRacing.com.
This is the world's premier online racing simulation. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat from your home computer with the most realistic online motorsports experience you'll find anywhere. Race virtually in the world's biggest events with officially licensed series, cars, and tracks. From the high banks of Daytona to the blistering speeds of Indianapolis, the dirt of Eldora to the world's most legendary road courses. It's all here, and with more than 180,000 people just like you already driving, you'll always have someone to race. Ready to get behind the wheel? Sign up at iRacing.com to get started.
You're watching SimSpeed TV. This is the Aussie Online Gaming Porsche Cup, round 12 from Oulton Park. On board here with Damon Woods and his incident with Dylan Shepherd at the end of last race, going on the slow-mo. He did have a run on Dylan Shepherd on the way up to Druids, but I don't think Shepherd was really expecting him to go for it there. And I have to say, the way the corner is, it's a very narrow line through. It's difficult to go side by side at those speeds, especially in these cars, Nick. This is going to be something that Race Control, I think, are going to be chewing on for a while.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we'll definitely have to leave it up to them for that one. And as we were talking about before, it happens in such a blink of an eye that it's almost too fast to be able to react to as well. But we just did see the post-race drive-through just come in there for Woods there as well. So just having a quick look before we touch back on that, we are looking here at, so we are on round 12 at Oulton Park. We've got Red Bull Ring next, so that's going to be a very different track to where we are now. A lot higher speed, a lot of braking zones as well. Donington Park, Zolder, Phillip Island, Matigi, Winton, Oran Park, and then Sandown. Probably the one I'm most excited about, Reese.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to the second half of this season for quite some time. Going to Red Bull Ring, Donington Park, Zolder to finish off our run in Europe, and then Phillip Island, Motegi, Winton, Oran Park and Sandown for the Australasian part of the championship. A trio of Australian tracks to round out the season, and Sandown is scheduled to be a two-driver enduro for round 20. So we're looking forward to that one for sure. But we are now in the session for the third and final race of the night. 15 minutes once again, no grid invert. Damon Woods and Bo Albert are going to start on the front row here. Dylan Burse and Hayden Veld on row 2. Robbie Gibbs and Dylan Shepherd 5th and 6th. in 7th place, it's going to be Lachlan Capel with Tyson Broad starting alongside. Cameron Dance and Reese Cohen round out the top 10, and Sebastian Flock and Dean Power in 11th and 12th.
On that next row there, Dan Stevens. Such a great showing there in the M class. Next to Joshua Van Treek, Hayden Sell, Ben Johnson, Zach Mitchell there, Simon Zomo, who's trying to on a bit of a recovery drive here at the moment, so it'll be good to keep an eye on him.
Matt Bowler and Josh Maynard round out the top 20. Then it's Isaac Edwards, Ryan Jones and Grant Matterford, our last starters here. Let's see what the drivers can do on their way into turn 1 this time. It's been a very frenetic night of racing with plenty of incidents out on track, and some would say that might be a bit par for the course for the AOG Porsche Cup. It's certainly not been a boring series by any stretch of the imagination. But Damon Woods starting from pole position, he has a lot of potential here to make it a win here tonight. But we can't forget Dylan Burst starting just behind him there in 3rd place, the winner of race 1, and certainly knows what it's like to lead a race all the way through here in virtual Cheshire. The timer will go down to 0 very shortly as we wait for the last couple of drivers to make their way onto the grid. Bo Albert starting on the dirty side of the grid here. So let's see how well the championship leader can put the power down, if he can try and salvage something from tonight and get a win on the board. He's got the championship lead, but he wouldn't be too happy with his performance tonight as the green flag flies and Damon Woods manages to spin the wheels off the line and Albert goes into the lead. Trying around the outside is Dylan Burst for 2nd. There's a big wreck at the back. Burst goes off the circuit at the front. Looks like Sebastian Flock has been involved in that, and it looks like Hayden Sell as well. That's a big shame. Speaking of Hayden's, Mr. Veld and the number 53 with a problem on the exit of turn 1. Ryan Jones trying to get round the outside of Grant Matterford, but Bo Albert now in the lead here in race 3, and have a look at this fight that's going on. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. That's not going to be too good. Get back onto the circuit, don't take anybody out. Oh, Dean Powell getting into the gravel trap there. At the exit, at the entry of the hairpin. Oh, big problem for Cam Dance. There had to be a huge check up there for Tyson Broad.
Yeah, jeez, there's so much going on there. In that carousel corner as well, you've got to be super careful getting spat off to the inside. We've seen cars glide across the track and take people out though, but not so much this time around. All just trying to sort each other out. These chicanes really interrupt the flow of the train, but looks like everyone's a bit more spaced out now and got a bit of space to be able to get their tyres under control and be able to make a bit more of a rhythm of this.
Joshua Van Treek we keep an eye on here, fighting for 11th place, trying to overtake Cameron Dance for the last position in the top 10, but he's facing a lot of pressure from the drop bear duo just behind him of Tyson Broad and Benjamin Johnson. As Dylan Shepherd there side by side with Reese Cohen across the line. Will Shepherd be able to get the position back here? Yes, he will. Shepherd moves up into 5th, but runs wide on the exit, and he's going to have to defend from Cohen through Cascades and into turn 3. Does have the inside line, and means that you can hold on. And yeah, there we go. Reese Cohen, unfortunately, going off the circuit there and having to give up the position to Lachlan Capel. Oh boy, so much activity here, as I think that was Ryan Jones off in the background there, going very wide at turn 3. He's had no luck here tonight. Neither is this guy here, Josh Maynard. Gets back going though, and safely to boot, not taking anyone else out on the way. So number 56, Damon Woods, lost the lead at the start and now facing pressure from Dylan Burst and Robert Gibbs, the top 4, all within the same frame of the camera here.
Yeah, absolutely. Just see, maybe this is Bo's chance to really get his head around the setup of the car, and we'll see if he I'd be quite curious to see what the splits are, whether or not if he's pulling away. We can see just how tight it is here in that battle for 7th there. You just see Cam Dance at the back of this group, of course, so I'm forgetting Cameron Dance having all kinds of unfortunate incidents and stuff throughout the night though, but has actually recovered not too bad. A couple of top 10 positions, surely you won't be too completely disappointed about that. Still sitting 4th in the championship.
First news from race control as Matt Bowler dives up the inside of Lachlan Capel into turn 1 to take 7th spot. Very good move there. Race control news, 10-second time penalty for Hayden Sell for contact on the first lap, and I get the feeling that's the reason why we saw the slight pile up towards the back of the grid. So, oh dear, further trouble for Sebastian Flock. This has certainly not been his night in the number 84, already carrying a lot of damage there, and it looks like some trouble for Isaac Edwards too in car 15. Is he going to pull that one over, I wonder? I'm not too sure. Just trying to find his way back onto the circuit as it's on for the lead. Damon Woods trying to find a way past Bo Albert here. A little bit of a look in the braking zone, trying to unsettle Bo and psych him out.
Yeah, we really haven't seen Bo pulling away as of yet there. We'd say probably about half a second between these two. Dylan Burst maybe a little bit further, maybe close to about a second adrift. Sure, he'll be able to close that gap with those two holding themselves. We actually are having a look at the replay a little bit earlier on.
Oh, yeah, you see Hayden Sell trying to find his way through there and was turned into a bit of a pinball.
Yeah, absolutely. Very Porsche shaped pinball there. Very lucky too when he bounced back on that most of the cars had gone past at that point in time there.
Woods to the lead. Oh, but for how long? Albert making a little bit of contact with him on the exit there. It looks like Woods has managed to cover him, and that's brought Dylan Burst right into the fray for the battle for P1. Fantastic move up the inside for Mr. Woods. Managed to get a great run out of Lodge Corner and get it done on Bo Albert, but the top three are now compressed, and Robert Gibbs is watching this and potentially licking his lips as it looks like there's some trouble there once again for Simon Mazzomo. That was a bit of trouble at turn 3 for him. We'll get a brief look at it thanks to our friends at Virtual Racing School. It's still going off for the lead of the race. We'll come back to it as soon as we can. Mazzomo coming out of turn 1, nice and smooth. And coming into turn 3, what happens? Does he get loose? Yes, he does. Just loose over the dip and big old spin. Doesn't manage to collect anyone else, though. But we have to go back to this battle for the lead because Bo Albert going side by side with Damon Woods through the chicane. Does look like that's given Woods a little bit of breathing room here, and Dylan Burst almost got Bo for second. He's going to have another try here, but getting into the grass on the exit of Druids.
Yeah, what a great battle by these four as well. So you just see Dylan Shepherd adrift of this group. I think it would take a lot for him to be able to close that gap in. So these four know that they're all really trying to go for these podium positions. Yeah, Dylan Burst doing a pretty good job there. He's almost just really waiting for a mistake there by Bo Albert. You can just see how much that Porsche is twitching there as they come through the back part of the circuit though, but we're pretty much past that halfway point in our race.
Yeah, we are. This is going to come to a very quick end. Live points between Tyson Broad and the car behind him in the standings definitely narrowing just a little bit. There we go. Simon Mazzomo. Wow. Looks like Tyson Broad, with that incident for Mazzomo, has taken the Pro-Am Championship lead, and Sam Blacklock sandwiched right in between them, just a point ahead of Mazzomo now. So this night has been disastrous for the driver of car 551, but we'll see what he can do, as that was a bit of an optimistic weave to the inside for Dylan Burst. Doesn't look like Bo Albert was troubled by it much.
Yeah, absolutely. So maybe Burst, maybe just trying to throw Gibbs out there, who's currently in that 4th position, or yeah, I would have to say just having a bit of a look here at the moment. You can see how much of a gap there is at the moment. He would have to try and do it after maybe a bit more of a straight into a sharp corner here. We've seen quite a good few overtakes through this corner here in particular.
We have car number 12, meanwhile, Matthew Bowler trying to find his way past Reese Cohen for 6th. Cohen's just been given a warning by race control for failing to leave racing room on lap 1. We'll see how much racing room he leaves here in the first corner. Looks like just enough there as Matthew Bowler makes his way through, almost trying his best. And will not be able to go around the outside of turn 3 there. Has to tuck back in behind. It's given Dylan Shepherd a nice bit of breathing room there in 5th place. We'll go to Virtual Racing School replay. Have a look at Lachlan Cable. Trying to get up the inside of Josh Van Treek and spinning around for his troubles. Not quite able to get it going either. So that's unfortunate there for Cable. Now down in 16th place, 9 down from where he started this race. Matthew Bowler still trying to find his way past. And this is going to be quite difficult for him. Seeing potentially there might be some trouble for Robert Gibbs. Something might have gone wrong for him. I think he might have dropped from the server. And remember, Gibbs was running in 4th place. So that's a big shame there. It looks like the top 3 are all on their own now. Both Gibbs and Capel having connection issues here tonight. We'll keep our eye on Bowler, though, as he tries to find his way past Cohen. He had a red-hot go of it at the start of last lap. Will he be able to get the power down out of Lodge Corner and go for another move into turn 1? Doesn't look like he's quite lined it up here, and will have to stay behind just for the time being.
Yeah, you'd have to say there if you're Woods, Albert or Burst, maybe that's a bit of a blessing in disguise there, having Gibbs out. Oh no, that is
just
Burst.
As we mentioned him, into the gravel trap on the exit of turn 3. Oh my lord. That has changed the face of the podium battle. It means that Dylan Shepherd is now in 3rd place, and Cohen and Bowler face getting onto the podium if they can get past him. So what happened to Dylan Burst here? He was all the way out into the grass on the exit of turn 1, and it doesn't look like this was contact with another car. Looks like he just caught the grass on the entry into turn 3. That combined with the little jump on the way in massively unsettled the car.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, geez. Hard up against that tie barrier there. We've seen another car off as well.
Yeah, that's Zach Mitchell, and it looks like that might be at Druids potentially. Not too sure, but it's at the hairpin we've just heard. So, man, it seems that with 4 laps to go in this race, a lot of drivers suddenly falling off the wagon in terms of keeping their cars under control. We check back in with Cameron Dance then. Who has found his way back up into 6th place, matching his car number, and he's got the battle between Cohen and Bowler happening just up ahead of him. I tell you what, if these guys get compressed in the final few laps, even Cam could be looking at a podium.
Yeah, absolutely, which would definitely be turning his fortunes around, as we've seen him battle pretty much all the way from the back, though. Actually, he's seen as well, I think that is Dylan Burst, so he's hasn't really lost too much ground there, so actually shows how spread out that field is there. Was in 3rd position, now in 7th, so could definitely be worse, though. Would be still definitely would have been a top 3, I would think, for points accumulated this round.
Oh, here we go. This is a nice scrap. Ryan Jones getting up the inside in turn 1 as Sebastian Flock watches on. Grant Matterford is the guy that Jones is trying to find his way past, but Jones runs wide there, has to give Flock room in turn 3 and loses out on that position. Wow, what a fight that is. Flock's still carrying a fair bit of damage. That's harmed his straight line speed, but it does seem that he is quite brave in the corners, able to make his way past Jones. Remember, these guys are battling for 15th place, so anyway you look on the track, there is a fight going on like this one here for 3rd. Dylan Shepherd still holding on by 0.4 of a second over Reese Cohen, with Matthew Bowler and Cameron Dance trailing behind. It looks like Dance having a bit of trouble there through the corner, losing a little bit more time.
Yeah, I also noticed there on the timing screens as well, Albert, over a second adrift now to Woods, so surely that's him maybe conceding on just trying to protect his championship lead here at the moment, just going for that easy points there from that 2nd place. We were having a last look at the live points from the Pro-Am. I think it was about 8 points or so. So, yeah, now down to 5 as well. So, definitely a big mix-up, and I think going into the next round, be so much going on with the Pro-Am, because they really will be battling it out right for that first position for those that Class Victory Championship.
Looks like Matt Bowler's made his way past Reese Cohen in the meantime. Bowler now up into 4th. We'll check out how that happened. Inside line coming into the sweeper, and Cohen was very lucky to keep that on the track. He was so close to catching the grass and making things very heart-stopping for the drivers around him. Let's see what kind of pace Bowler has then, as, oh dear, Sebastian Flock having further issues. He's fallen down to 19th place. It's only going to be 1 lap to go when these drivers cross the line next, so I don't think there's going to be much time for Matthew Bowler to try and make it on the podium here. Dylan Shepherd's still holding on to 3rd, but Cameron Dance has gotten a really good run here in these last couple of corners, and is going to try and line up Reese Cohen here for a 5th place finish. Don't forget they've got the recovering Dylan Burst behind them as well. It will be interesting to see how much time Burst can make up in the final lap here. And you can see Barney waving the white flag there at the start-finish line. So we are on here for the finish. There's battles going on all throughout the field, and it's still not over for many positions here in the top 10. Mazomo and Veld going to be fighting for 11th and 12th. Mazomo, a new signing to 9.5 Sim Sports as of last week, and doing quite well to recover from those incidents, but the gap in the Pro-Am Championship between he and Tyson Broad narrowing significantly at this round. Damon Woods will have to defend from Bo Albert here on the final lap. Albert absolutely nailing the entry to the Britain's chicane there. Now down to his lops. Is there going to be any change between these drivers? Got to keep it online, keep the pace up, and try to be as smooth through Knickerbrook as possible, but it looks like Albert just losing out a bit there. Some mid-corner oversteer as he caught the curb. So I think that might seal it here for Damon Woods. He would have missed out on victory in race 2, would Woods, for want of that post-race drive-through penalty. Meanwhile, there's a slowdown for Tyson Broad. That is going to be no good for him in 8th place. But out of the final corner, Damon Woods is going to take victory here in race 3. And this time, he's going to keep it. Bo Albert finishes in 2nd, and Shepherd manages to hold off Matthew Bowler for 3rd overall. And there goes Reese Cohen and Cameron Dance to finish 5th and 6th, with Dylan Burst in 7th. Still going on here, 7-2-7 of Benjamin Johnson trying to find his way past Joshua Van Treek. They work themselves out, but it's still on between Daniel Stevens and Hayden Sell, who was involved massively in the incident at the start of race 3. Has potential to gain just 1 more position here if he dives up the inside of Stevens at Lodge, but he's too far back to make it work. A pretty good run for Daniel Stevens, all things considered, but he goes a bit deep at Lodge, and that could potentially allow Sell by as they make contact going across the line.
There you go. There's absolutely nothing in between, but yeah, we could see how it all started from that. Stevens running just a little bit wide and actually washed off his momentum there, so we'll have to see exactly what had happened there. I'm sure Race Control will have to have at least a bit of a look there, Reese.
Well, there's the results then for the final race of the night. Woods, Albert and Shepherd your podium. Dylan Shepherd taking the Pro-Am win. Bowler, Cohen, Dance and Burst all the way down to 7th place. Then Tyson Broad finishes 2nd in Pro-Am. Joshua Van Treek and Benjamin Johnson rounding out the top 10 overall.
Yeah, absolutely. There, Hayden Veld, Simon Mazomo, Dean Powell, Lachlan Capel, Ryan Jones, Grant Matterford had a pretty rough one. Hayden Sell, Daniel Stevens though doing well there at 18th. Sebastian Flock, Isaac Edwards there in 20th position.
And in 21st place, it was Zach Mitchell with the crash at the hairpin that we saw earlier on. Joshua Maynard finishes in 22nd. And unfortunately, Robert Gibbs, our sole retirement due to connection issues. Wow, what a fight it was here tonight, and that's how the standings look coming out of the 12th round of the championship. Albert still leading by 818 points over Matthew Bowler, but some really good gains for Cameron Dance. Sebastian Flock missing out on quite a few points now, thanks to his incidents here tonight. But Tyson Broad and Simon Mazomo Look at that. Broad now takes the lead in the Pro-Am Championship by only 5 points.
Yeah, just so close there between him and Simon Zomo. Dylan Shepherd, a little bit of drift though. Dylan doing such a really strong here all night, so he'll be, I'm sure, pretty pleased, all things considering. Nicholas Garrett there still leading the AM class there to Javin Wood. So those three and Kyle Booth unfortunately not making it though. Zach Mitchell there just closing that gap ever so slightly.
Well, that is going to end things in terms of racing action, but we do have drivers in the booth here for interviews. We'll go to Damon Woods first because, wow, what a night it was for you, Damon. Unfortunately, getting that post-race drive-through penalty for the second race, but making up for it with the win in race 3. Talk us through it.
Thank you. No, it was on that incident in race 2. I think I'm going to have a look at that one. I'm not too sure about the ruling on it, but other than that, no, it was a good night. Race 3 was pretty cruisy. I mean, I bottled the start as per usual, but no, was able to get past Bo and led from there, and it was pretty solid.
Certainly seemed like Oulton Park was very kind to you tonight. Not kind to everyone, though. It's certainly a track where incidents reign supreme, and you got to have a good handle on your car.
Yeah, with Oulton, you got to be pretty patient. You can't force the car into the corner, otherwise, you end up in a little tyre barrier on the inside of the corner. But no, it's all about keeping the car clean and finishing the races.
Well, what's the rest of the season looking like for you? Can we expect you at every round to come, or will you be missing a few?
We'll see how it goes. Probably might miss a few because of real life commitments. But other than that, should be able to make most rounds.
Well, hopefully we'll get another chance to talk to you, Dame, and thanks very much for joining us. Before we let you go, who would you like to thank for your victory tonight?
No real thanks tonight, Reese. Good job to the AOG boys for putting on the event, and thank you very much.
Well, good night for Damon Woods there in car number 56. Next up, we've got championship leader Bo Albert stood by with Nick.
Yeah, well, congratulations there, Bo, on your second place, but probably not what you were expecting here coming in tonight. Probably the same for us as well. Talk us through it.
Oh, well, that was some pretty good racing, I thought. Obviously, I saw Damon and Bercy jumped in for the practice session, so I knew it was going to be a hard race. And that was pretty brilliant. Like, you know, obviously, I would have liked to have... I got one race win, technically, not the way I would have liked to have got it with a post-race penalty for Damon. I don't really care, to be honest. That was just good racing. That was good battling. All clean. So, honestly, second place sucks, don't get me wrong, but that was as fun as any other race this season, I think. So, very happy.
No, awesome work, Bo. It was probably more that we were a bit taken back that maybe you were human after all there with your... but no, and that you're exactly right. That definitely makes the more entertaining ones there if you're not absolutely winning and dominating so much there. But one thing that we did come to notice there very early on was potentially maybe there was a bit of an issue with that car setup trying to get it dialed in.
A little bit. I think it was a combination of factors this week. No excuses from me. I just didn't put the time in. Quite simply, I was a little bit back on preparation. That's all down to me. And yeah, the setup probably wasn't ideal either. I usually like to run quite a low downforce. And I've stuck to my guns. Low downforce here and low downforce at Oulton Park is always a bit sketchy. But it's a hard to pass track, so that was my thinking that, you know, even if I can slightly hook it up, maybe I can make some passes because it is a hard track to pass at. Didn't quite pay off, but yeah, it did mean there was a few little mistakes there. I don't want to blame the setup too much for my pretty clumsy mistake in race 1 and race 2 as well. I made a little mistake through the chicane. I think that was just poor driving more than anything, so I think a low downforce setup could work here. I just didn't execute it too well this time around.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, congratulations anyways there, Bo, on getting that podium and then still having such that strong hold there. On the championship, any people or sponsors you'd like to thank?
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to give a shout out to Logitech G, Virtual Racing School, Cube Controls, Racetech Australia, and also just a quick mention as well. Obviously, a few of you may have noticed we've got an all-pink car for this one. It's something we at Altus like to do every now and then in the support of no social hate. Obviously, the community's been, you know, has had a few little moments going on here and there between other leagues and some other individuals as well. So I just want to try and spread the message, no social hate, and actually try and bring that forward. So not actually just saying no social hate, but actually trying to prove it as well. Try and bring attention to it as well, and try and get more of the sim racing community behind it. So that's the reasoning behind that. But beyond that, shout out to you guys at SimSpeed as well for the awesome broadcast.
Awesome. Well, yeah, thank you again, Bo, and we'll take it back to Reese.
We shall indeed. Big thanks to Bo Albert for joining us. The next driver in the booth is going to be Dylan Burst, the winner of the first race. Well, Dylan, the night started well for you with a win and a podium. Unfortunately, it went wrong in race 3, but still, you must be happy with that kind of result on your return to the series.
Yeah, look, I mean, you can never be upset on your night if you did get a win at the end of the day. So, look, I mean, second race didn't go to plan as well. Like, I tried to get into P2, but I just couldn't. But, it was good hard racing out there, a lot of fun. But, yeah, I mean, I got a bit unlucky with, not unlucky, just I couldn't really pass a few people here and there in the second race, which meant I couldn't get up the front quick enough. But, yeah, I mean, first race was really good, just kept it cool, had a steer up to the front, but yeah, and then that third race was going all right. Tried to pass for second, but couldn't really do it a few times, and it's just the nature of the track, I guess. But yeah, I mean, went into T3 one lap and just had a massive talent failure. So you know what, that's racing. That not too fussed about it.
Yeah, definitely. Well, was it a late decision for you to run here at Oulton Park, or was it a case of real life commitments getting in the way for most of the season?
Oh, look, I mean, I've had other stuff on for most of the season, like there's different sim races, and AOG wasn't top of my priorities and stuff. So, look, really, I just decided to race a couple hours before the race because Damon said he was going to race a couple hours before the race. So, I mean, that's sort of what made us do it. But yeah, no, either way, I'm happy we did it. It was a good fun night, that's for sure. Getting used to the Cup car again. Haven't driven it for a while, so that was a bit hard, of course.
Well, can we expect your next round at Red Bull Ring?
Oh, we'll see what happens. I like Red Bull Ring, so might have a show. See what happens.
We shall indeed. Well, before we let you go, Dylan, anyone you'd like to thank for your results tonight?
Yeah, I'd just like to thank Team Venable Sim Racing, you fellas for the broadcast, AOG for running it, and Damon Woods for making me race.
Indeed. That's Dylan Burst there with the win and a podium here tonight. Next up, we've got Dylan Shepherd in the box with Nick stood by with him. Unfortunately, messing up choosing the driver there. There's Dylan Shepherd taking the Pro-Am win here tonight, Nick.
Yeah, Dylan, such a mixed result there. We did see you, I think it was in race 1, very, very fortunate there not to take out another car off the start line. What was happening on there?
I've just kind of ruined my own start procedure, and yeah, I held the throttle for a bit and thought it was going to go green and just dropped the clutch a bit too early. So yeah, I had to cop the stop and go, but yeah, luckily the safety car saved my life for the night, I suppose, and yeah, put me in a good spot for the rest of the night.
Yeah, absolutely. It was such a strong result there, getting that third place there in that last race. So yeah, seeing you really improving the whole way through tonight there. How'd you go sorting out your car setup earlier on?
Yeah, I mean, I've been really putting a lot of time into this car again. Found a few things over the last few rounds that I kind of revert back to my own setup. So the car's definitely coming forward. I think it is more in driver than it is in setup at the moment. So I'm very comfortable with the car. It's just a matter of getting things right and just finding that extra 10-15% that them front three have.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we did see actually between Tyson Broad and Simon Zomo, they're not having the best of luck there. So it is great to see that championship there tighten up just a little bit more. But I think we are off to, I forgot what track it was, Reese there.
Red Bull Ring.
It is a Red Bull Ring there. So I'm sure your preparations like you have there tonight, there'll be a lot of practice happening for that track.
Yeah, I mean, it's be a bit of a mixed one. I thought tonight would definitely be about track position with the difficulty to pass, but I feel like Red Bull's definitely going to be a mixed bag of just drafting and fighting more than outright pace. I feel like you're almost going to be able to be a bit off the pace and still fight up the front. So probably just focus a bit more on speed than overall lap time.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, congratulations again there, Dylan Shepherd, on tonight. On a really good result and so much improvement throughout the night there as well. Any sponsors and people you'd like to thank?
Just a little old privateer these days, so just thanks to my housemates for putting up with the racing, and thanks to you guys for putting on a good show, and all the organisers for running the series.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that is our Pro-Am winner there, Dylan Shepherd. Take it away. Back to you, Reese.
Indeed. Final driver we're going to chat to tonight is Daniel Stevens, who definitely set the AM class on fire tonight, Dan. We didn't get many chances to look at you in the broadcast, but every time we did, you were involved in some kind of battle. Just talk us through your night.
Yeah, it's actually a pretty good night, to be honest. I'm quite happy with how the whole night turned out. Slowly getting grips with the car and stuff like that, because I just don't like the car at all, but I thought I'd give it a go. But I didn't really show my true pace because Nicholas and Jarvid and Kyle weren't here tonight, so I'll take it with a grain of salt for tonight and see what happens next week.
Indeed. Nonetheless, you should be very happy with those results. You had quite the battle with Hayden Sell on the last lap in race 3. Did result in some contact across the line, but did seem like you guys were having a bit of fun out there.
Yeah, it's always a bit of fun when you're side by side, especially when you cross the line. I seem to go past the line sideways a few times with you guys broadcasting. Enjoying it.
Well, what can we expect from you for Red Bull Ring? It'd be interesting to see if the usual suspects at the top of the AM class show up, but what are you doing to prepare for next round?
Like I said, I'm still getting used to the car, so I've actually been putting quite a bit of time into this car to get used to it. And I have to give a shout out to Simon Mazzomo. He gave me some tips last week, which has really, really helped out this week and for future weeks. So a big shout out to him.
Anyone else you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go down?
Yeah, you guys, of course, at Sim Speed, Middle Finger Racing, Mad As Designs, and WP Concreting.
Well, there we are. Kiwi Dan Stevens with some good results here tonight in the AM class, Nick, and that's going to bring to an end proceedings for tonight. But wow, Red Bull Ring next round, a very fast, very short circuit, a Formula One circuit as well. I'm looking forward to it. Plenty of room out there for high-speed, high-octane racing action.
Yeah, absolutely. So big different approach here. Probably a bit more similar to what we've seen there at Barcelona. So great to see Oulton Park there kind of throwing it in and giving all our races a bit of a mixed bag. So not only really different trucks and whatnot, but also the different racing format as well. So it is great to see such a good variety here at AOG.
That it is. Just a couple more rounds here in Europe before we go to Asia and Australia to round out the season. It's a long and arduous championship in the AOG Porsche Cup presented by Sam Blacklock Media, but we'll be here every step of the way on SimSpeed TV. We want to thank you all very much for watching, and we will see you all next time. I'm Reese Gardner, it's Nick Scariev alongside me in the comms box, and Jay Kennedy behind the scenes, bringing you all of the pictures. Thanks very much for watching, everybody.
This is your chance to get behind the wheel. The opportunity to race just like the pros. From the grassroots levels, where we all got our start, to the most popular race cars on the planet. From the fairgrounds of Nashville to the high banks of Daytona, to tracks that will never be forgotten. Realistic driving, intense competition, all from the comfort of your own home. This is the ultimate motorsports simulation. This is iRacing.